Hi guys, it's Miss Davila. We're going to do a guided reading lesson today. So today's lesson, the book I have picked for you guys is Abigail Adams. So here's our title, Abigail Adams, and it's written by Kira Freed. So I'm going to do a little picture walk and see what I notice. So first of all, I'm noticing that Abigail Adams looks like she must have been somebody who maybe worked in a hospital or had somebody that she knew that was in the hospital. It looks like he might be a soldier. I'm noticing that it looks like possibly she lived on a farm and had several children. Okay, here's a big one. There is a table of contents. So a table of contents, of course, gives us the subheadings that are in this story and the pages they're found on. Okay, so this book has pictures. It has captions. It has a map. It has photographs. And it has a glossary. So this tells me that this is a nonfiction book that I'm reading, that we're going to read. And it's about somebody named Abigail Adams. So a book that is nonfiction and is about a person is a biography. So right here, the words we should know: advice, capital, colonies, elected, equal rights, First Lady, Great Britain, independent, politics. So these are words right here that we're gonna see in our story. And if you're not quite sure what the words mean, and if you can't infer from your context clues within the story, then you can go back here to page 16 and use the glossary. So advice was the first word. It tells us here suggestions or guidance. So that tells you what advice means. If we look on page 10, he often asks for her advice on politics as well as other subjects. So that lets us know we can infer that advice means getting help. So what we're going to be looking for in our guided plans is the main idea. So to help us with this, we have this focus question here. Who was Abigail Adams and why was she important? So in order for me to get a better understanding of how I'm going to find my main idea, I'm going to make a KWL chart. So in my K, what I know, W, what I want to know, and L, what I learned. So what I know, these are the things that I learned just from looking at the pictures, doing the picture walk. So I know that Abigail Adams is a woman. I know she lived on a farm because I saw the picture of her on the farm. And I'm assuming that she had children because we saw that she was walking with those 4 little children. So the question that I want to know is, who was Abigail Adams and why is she important? If they wrote a biography about her, there must be something she did that was important. So if we look right here at our first subheading, who was Abigail Adams? That was my question, one of my first questions of what I want to learn. In the mid-1700s, most women in North America spent their lives caring for their husbands, children, and home. Abigail Adams lived a different sort of life. She ran a farm and raised her children mostly by herself. She also helped shape the United States' first years as a new country. I'm underlining the things that I noticed that stuck out to me about telling me who Abigail was. So the first thing I'm learned about her. So I'm going to go back to what I've learned. So I learned she lived in the 1700s. I've learned that she lived in North America. I learned that she lived on a farm. And she did have children. I also learned that she helped shape the United States. So another thing that I'm noticing as I'm reading is I'm noticing that there are some common nouns and some proper nouns. So if I look right here at the name Abigail Adams, I know that this is capitalized because it is a proper noun. It's a name. I look right here at the word women, and I know that this is a common noun. It's not a name of a person, but it is a person, place, or thing. The same with children and husbands. They're all nouns. They're just common nouns. They're not proper nouns like Abigail Adams. So if you look here on this paper, this is a list. It has the words that it listed all of the nouns, and it wants us to see which ones are common nouns and which one are proper nouns, which are names of people. So if I look up here at Dr. Ramsey, now think about that word, Dr. Ramsey. Is that a common noun or is it a proper noun? Ramsey is the last name, so that's a person's name, and doctor is a title. So this right here should be under proper nouns and should be capitalized. Okay. So now, if I look, the reason that doctor on here is capitalized on Dr. Ramsey is because it's his name, it's his title. It's like if Mrs. Davila, the Mrs. and Davila are both capitalized. Now, if we look up here at bus driver, oop, I put that on the wrong side. Sorry guys, it was supposed to be under proper nouns over here. So if I look up there at bus driver, is that going to go over here on proper or on common noun? So it is a common noun that names a person. A librarian is a common noun that names a person. We have our librarian at school. So you would say our librarian is Mrs. Robinson. So librarian would be lowercase But Mrs. Robinson would be a proper noun, and it would be over here in the proper noun that name people. Okay, so the next word, if we look over here, Mrs. Schmidt and Kevin, are these proper nouns that name people or common nouns that name people? So we know, just like when you're writing your name, you capitalize the first letter of your name. So Kevin needs to go under proper and be capitalized. The same with Mrs. Schmidt. When you write my name, Mrs. Davila, you capitalize the M in Mrs. and the D in Davila. So you should be doing the same for Mrs. Schmidt. So your list would look like this. If you're writing these down yourself on a piece of paper, this is how your list should be. You should have the names of people listed in your proper nouns, and librarian. Let's see what else. Bank manager. Those would go over here in common nouns. And that's what our list looks like so far. So if we go back to our story, I want you guys to look and read pages 5 through 7. And then we will go over while you're reading this, I want you to look for the main idea. So for your main idea, you're going to look for you're going to ask yourself, what is the text mostly about? So you're going to look for the main idea. You're going to ask yourself, what is the text mostly about? So remember, what you're looking for is this early years section. What is this section mostly about? What is it that the author is wanting you to learn and know from this section? And remember, we need to look for details. We have to have proof to show that our main idea is correct. So I want you guys to read page 5 through 7. And remember to ask yourself, what is the text mostly about? And if you made a KWL chart with me, then go ahead while you're reading the next section, you can start a new one. This is from that one little section that I read to you guys. But I want you to add to your charts as you're reading on. So think about what you already know about the early years, then what you want to know, and then you're going to finish it off with what you learned from that section. So I will see you guys tomorrow. Happy reading.